The presenting sponsor of Moontower Soccer is FVF Law.
To find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm, you can visit fvf.law.
Hello, friends, and welcome to SWOONTOWER Soccer. My name is Mike Cragnola.
And I'm Steph Cragnola.
And this week we have got for you a full-size SWOONTOWER episode. So we will be going over mascots of the match. We will be talking about fit checks, match moods, and pitch personalities. Going through some pretty good Celly ratings this time. Some social media standouts. And then, as always, Steph's man of her jersey. But first, we've got a SWOONTOWER opponents preview here with Ted Ramey. Ted, thank you so much for joining us again.
Hey, happy to be back with you guys. I was excited when I got an email from you. I was like, all right, I didn't scare him away last time. So,
yeah, repeat guest. We love to have him. Ted, we enjoyed so much of our time with you last time. In the time that we have been apart here, Taylor Swift has dropped a new record. San Jose has signed a new DP number 10. And, both of our teams have gone through a little bit of change. And so I'm really excited to get into it here this week. But before we kick it off, what is your favorite Tortured Poets Department song?
I will go with So Long London. I thought that that was my standout from the first listen and still is a little bit over a month later. I just think that sonically it's very challenging, very different sound, the stuff that what she's put on before. One of the reasons I think a lot of people who are Taylor Swift fans is they love the fatalism and the heavy romantic aspect of it. When I mean romantic period, when you get into that fatalistic,
the capital R
overtures, that she hits on a lot of that stuff. And there's a lot of really good stuff on the album. I enjoy it a lot, which, shocker. Taylor Swift fan likes Taylor Swift album news at 11. But yeah, I really like So Long London. That's the one that I like the most. But it's hard because you tell people this and everybody comes up with an answer that's not yours. But I know they're just as right as I am. I have this thing about art, where I think award shows are kind of pointless because they're well, this is the best album or this is the best movie. And I'm yeah. But if somebody finds their own personal truth in the theme song to Barney, they're no more right than I am about there is no correct answer when we start ranking things. So I always have to give that little bit of a caveat when I talk about what my quote unquote favorite is. Everybody else who has theirs that's wildly different than mine, you're right too. It's art. They can't. It's all totally subjective.
Except in this case, you are right. So Long London is the best song on the record, and it hits way different in London. We were lucky enough to be in a coffee shop in the Richmond neighborhood doing a Ted Lasso thing, right? And So Long London came on in the shop, and it was just crazy,
That's awesome.
I feel you. I'm with you on this one.
That's awesome.
I'm stuck back at the Barney theme song. You wanna talk about song? You're really speaking to the 6-year-old Steph there. You wanna jump into things?
Yeah, I whatever you want to come at me with, I am ready and waiting. But Steph, are you going to share your favorite song, or do you not have one?
I don't have one.
Period. Ever.
We listened on the way to our away match in Houston a couple weeks ago. And I did ask if we were back at the first song several times. So I just need to maybe give it a less distracted listen.
That is one of the critiques. People say it's cohesive to a fault because it's all very much the same theme. So yeah, I mean, there is no right or wrong in judging this, and I think I've heard that same riff from a number of people now.
Yeah, I've called it meditations on a theme.
Yes.
So normally, right, the first time we talked generally about national coverage and the way that it differs from local coverage, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that is still a thing that we want to kind of touch on, right? Because I think the current national perspective on San Jose is a little bit more negative, even though, the ownership group went out and did what everybody said they needed to do, which was pick up a DP number 10. And here, Hernan Lopez comes in. Is he going to be enough or was national media kind of maybe a little bit short-sighted in what the actual needs of the team are?
I think it's both. I mean, I think Hernan Lopez, since he's joined the Earthquakes, is oftentimes in games in very short order looked like the best player on the pitch without any real argument that you're going to get from anyone. The issue has been he comes on in that game against LA in the second half. The Earthquakes get a 3-1 win. It was 1-1 when he comes on. It's 3-1, 15 minutes or so later. They get themselves a very, very nice win. And then they have a great come-from-behind win against Colorado. And in the midst there, they also beat the Roots in Open Cup competition. They win 3 in a row, and everything's going along really, really nicely until they go up 2-0 on Portland, and a very, very poor call was made to award Bruno Wilson of the Earthquakes a red card in about the 71st minute, I believe. And then, in addition to a red card on a handball inside the box, a penalty is awarded. So the Quakes go down a man, and Portland scores a goal to make it 2-1. And then shortly thereafter, Portland scores a goal to make it 2-2. Then another very questionable call where our keeper Yarbrough and one of their strikers, Jonathan Rodriguez, collide. And then it's another penalty awarded, a very questionable call. And they go up 3-2. And then in the last play of the game, what looked like there should have been a review for a handball in favor of the Earthquakes was not reviewed, and Portland scores in the opposite direction. So in a matter of 20 minutes, the Quakes were up 2-0 on the road, and they're actually 30 minutes with stoppage time, but up 2-0 on the road to losing 4-2. And the red card was eventually rescinded, and only a few of the referees that were working that game ended up working the following Saturday. But the big long-winded point I'm trying to make is that seemed to suck a lot of wind out of the Earthquake sails. And then they lost 1-0 to Orlando last Saturday night. And then on Tuesday nights, they lost in extra time to Sacramento. They had a 1-0 lead, couldn't hold on to that, fell behind 2-1, came back to tie 2-2, took a 3-2 lead in extra time, and then fell 4-3 in the second 15-minute extra time period. And that seems to be a theme of where the Earthquakes have not been able to find that consistency, conceding goals late. They gave up, I believe, an 89th minute goal to Orlando to lose the other night. So national people saying, yeah, it's not enough. Like, at this point, you can't really argue with that. But the other part of that is, though, like, there's still only 6 points out. Like, the final playoff spot right now is occupied by St. Louis. Nobody in the West has really pulled themselves away from everyone. So the Quakes are still within striking distance. But right now, that onus of proving it is still on San Jose to show that, this current streak is not going to be one that takes them out of contention in Major League Soccer once again, because they, had the, I believe, 1-4-1 starts, and then 1-8-1 overall, won a couple of games, and then finally got things rolling, only to see it kind of tumble back again. So, again, from a distance, saying the Earthquakes are not playing well, it's not enough. Totally get it. From up close, in my perspective, you see a lot of more of the detail. And, obviously we know who's signing my checks, so I always, add that in as well. But at the same time, it's like they are still within a reachable point to where it's not out of question. Now, the deeper we get into the season, the more that becomes more difficult to attain, but they're still not out of it. And I think that they do believe enough in themselves that they can find a little bit of rhythm that they can get that much closer to the playoff picture and where they ultimately view themselves as a team. Because I think the consistent point is they've been right with teams up to the end of games, and so many times they've seen just, wins or losses just, at the last second where it's like, how did that happen? It looked like they were going to get 3 points out of this, and they ended up losing. So I hope that is enough juxtaposition of the two perspectives with not too much detail to answer your question.
Well, I want to jump ahead here a little bit because not that we have like a tight question list, but as we're looking at the past couple of games, that was 4 matches in 11 days, 4 matches in 10 days for y'all. And that's a heavy schedule. So how much of the schedule lightening out, obviously, like being out of the Open Cup is a disappointment, I'm sure, having gotten that far, but lightening your schedule a little bit. And also, how much fuel is the red card reversal decision giving the team and the fans? Because I imagine that's what everyone wants when they see a bad call, right? All you want is for someone official to tell you were right for booing. Like, yeah, everyone in this stadium who was booing was right.
Yeah.
And so how much is that gonna help with the schedule congestion easing up and then a little bit of like vindication?
The schedule congestion has to play a role in terms of the results. I'm not going to blame that for the overall outcomes, but I mean, guys get tired. You've got to rotate squads. They went with, what would be considered not a second team, but more of the non-starters in the game against Sacramento on Tuesday night. I think the only qualm you would really have with the schedule congestion, because we know Major League Soccer does this, you'll have 3 games in 8 days sometimes, with a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. Like, that's part of life in Major League Soccer. But these 2 Open Cup games, in addition to a midweek game against Portland, have occurred on Tuesday nights after Saturday night games, which, I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA. I've been in those union negotiations. If I'm MLS Players Association in the next one, I'm going, whoa, no games on 2 days rest. That's, it's hard to play on Wednesday, but that's manageable. But quick rest like that turnaround, I would be like, no, we're not going to do that again, which is just my, brief analysis of that. But, these guys, they're used to quick turnarounds. I think it plays a role, but it's not an excuse. And I don't think fatigue to me ever came in as something where I was like, wow, that's why the Earthquakes lost these games. It was more like mental fatigue or making mistakes or an erroneous red card. Now, Stephanie, to your point about the red card, this was something that I was expecting on Saturday night against Orlando after that red card was rescinded. I thought that the Earthquakes were going to come out with hair on fire, just absolutely pedal to the metal on Saturday night against Orlando as a reactionary position to having that red card rescinded, being angry, being ticked off. Except that's not what happened. It actually came out a little bit, I won't say tentative, but just not enough front foot, not aggressive enough, not enough of that mentality that you would have thought they would have had. And I think that inability to take over the game early on against an Oscar Pereira team who knows very well how to win these 1-0 games, it set up classic for what he wanted to do, because he didn't play a classic bunker and counter game or anything like that, although he did use aspects of it, but he clogged the midfield enough to make the Earthquakes have to make some tough decisions at times. It seemed like he was doing a good job of keeping Hernan Lopez and Christian Espinosa on the right side of the Earthquakes attack, the left side of the defense for Orlando. And by funneling them over there, it didn't allow the Earthquakes to make the long switch and attack from the left side, which was mostly silent. And that kind of carried out throughout the entirety of the game. So when we saw the game play out, the Earthquakes never really took control, couldn't really find a consistent path where it looked like they were going to find that goal-scoring opportunity. And it was still a tight game. It looked like in the 86th minute, it was like, this is going to be a 0-0 draw, everyone's favorite. And, there was going to be at least a point out of it. And then suddenly, one long counterattack from Orlando turned into a goal where it actually came off of a whiffed shot that kind of clipped into the box and fell in front of their attacker. And it was, the saying right now for the Earthquakes, and I believe this was asked specifically of Lucci after the game, if you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all. And, I think that a coach would probably respond to that by saying, yeah, well, good teams make their own luck, and the Earthquakes just are not performing at the level where they're creating their own luck enough. And hopefully the loss against Orlando combined with the loss against Sacramento on Tuesday night will provide them with the fire. And to end the longest ever winning streak of Austin that they've ever had against San Jose in one. And I'm stealing that line from Lincoln Rose because that's what he said yesterday. And we were both very, very complimentary of you guys. And he was talking about it last time. I was like, I'm going again tomorrow. And so he said that. So I'll test if he's listening and can hear me stealing his line. But yeah, I mean, they didn't come out with enough fire in that game, but again, they're probably looking at this saying like, hey, we had a 2-0 lead in Austin, combined with what's happened lately, that should be some motivation for us to come out, with our hair on fire, with a lot of aggression in the first 15 minutes Saturday night at home against a game that in Austin, in the history of this rivalry, and I do say rivalry with no sense of irony, this to me is a rivalry because every time they play, it's a wild, entertaining game.
So spicy. Yeah. One of our friends, we call them Moon Tower dads. He calls San Jose a drug that Austin FC just can't resist, right? Like we play all these disciplined games where we really set up like defensively strong, and then San Jose comes to town and we go nuts because we can't help it, right? And so
I'm ready for Julio to get another yellow card this weekend. That's what I'm ready for.
For
Maybe
rolling.
Brad will throw one in too.
Yeah, for rolling somebody off a field, right? So I wanted to ask if you thought, that Orlando City team had Felipe starting and he played a full 90. And as an Austin FC alum, we came to really appreciate Felipe's poop housing tendencies, seeing that San Jose lineup without Preston Judd in the starting lineup for that match. Was that bite something that San Jose was missing?
It's interesting because Preston Judd is a bit of a, I don't think hothead is the right term. I'll steal from baseball and a Texan and Will Clark who used the term red ass, who just like, he gets, he's easily irritated.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like that's a good question. Like Judd, he definitely brings attitude and irritability out there onto the pitch. I think, though, that they were trying to establish more of what they saw in the game against Portland with Jeremy Ebobisse, where he was really allowed to do a lot of connective passing. He was used as a target. He'd bring the ball down, quick distribution, Hernan Lopez or Amal Pellegrino. And it was really something nice that we saw in his game. But Oscar Pareja saw that Portland was giving him space to operate and shut that down. So, I think that if there is a bit of a book on Ebobisse right now, it's that if you keep a man on him, if you meet him with contact every time he's getting the ball, he's not going to develop as much of a chance to get comfortable. The only, problem with that is that if Jabo does have a man on him and gets a step to the outside, he's played at the wing before. He's got enough pace to where he can burn a guy and, suddenly create things. So that's the danger there. It's like, yeah, you can harass him and make him uncomfortable getting the ball, but if he has a little bit of space, he'll go. But I think Judd has not proved himself to be consistent enough to where he's always going to be in that starting lineup. And I actually thought that when he came on that he was not his best self. He had a couple of moments where he just looked like he couldn't settle things down. He maybe was trying to do too much, which I think that happens to a team when you're in those waning moments of a game and everybody wants to be the hero and everybody wants to try and make something happen. But I am waiting for that next evolution in Judd's game because he's in his first year with San Jose and still, I think, figuring everything out and his role and what he wants to do. But he runs hot. Like I like that. And the one red card he got, in my opinion, and I'm not even saying this as the guy who broadcasts the Earthquakes, like before VAR, he never gets that red. That's just a guy saying, get off me. That's what nines have done forever to defenders. So I thought it was a little bit like, this we want guys to be physical and battle and, not like each other in between the lines over the course of 90 plus minutes. So he got a red there, but I do like his game and I like his overall ability to get, make things spicy out there, but I don't think he was necessarily a determining factor one way or another if it didn't impact things with him being out there on the pitch.
Yeah, hearing that he can be kind of goaded into that a little bit from an Austin perspective, we're very hopeful to see him. Not only because Jabo owns us,
right?
But also,
oh my god,
but also because Diego Rubio makes Felipe look like a Boy Scout, and like from the way that Diego Rubio works, it's so like mental for him. He is never the guy that's upset, but he is always the guy doing the upsetting. Mm-hmm. That's like just his game, right? And so if he knows that the guy opposite him is somebody that he can get under his skin, it's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. Antagonism, I love it in both sides because I think that's one of the things that's so unique about sports is that you have the ability to not know. This is one of those things that I think is unique to sports. It's like you go to a movie, you don't like it, the outcome, you can be upset. We've all been to bad concerts where we're like, I wish I hadn't come. But no one ever goes to a sporting event, I don't think, and wishes they didn't go. Like they're like, the team, that I was rooting for didn't win or something to that effect. But I think they're still glad that they went and witnessed it because there's no pressure on the viewer to enjoy the outcome. Like you go into any game, you might walk away really pissed off. Like that's just how it goes. But I think that's kind of baked in. And so when you do get those antagonistic forces where you're trying to goad somebody into doing something reactionary, it's like, okay, like, do you tick him off to the point where it takes him out of the game? Or there's the flip side. Do you tick somebody off to where in response to that, it turns into a brilliant moment on the other end? Because then you're like, that wasn't what I was expecting. That's part of the fun, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess from there, just like our big last question is, what is it going to take to crush our longest winning streak against San Jose?
And I heard the same response from both Heath Pierce and Lincoln Rose when I asked a similar question in this week's edition of my podcast. And they both said discipline, and they both took different angles on that. But I think for the Earthquakes, the discipline's got to come in terms of the end of the game, because it is in those crucial moments that games are often decided in Major League Soccer. We know that there's plenty of 1-goal games or draws that come in those last, final 5 minutes from the 85th to the 90th minute, and then a few minutes of stoppage time or 10 minutes of stoppage time, as we saw in the earlier game against Austin, where you have to be your best self in the most critical moments of the game. And I think that when you do have a team that shows a flaw at those most critical junctures, then teams are going to attack, and Austin's going to keep it with them. They're going to say, hey, we were able to score on these guys in the final, moment, final seconds, essentially, of that game the last time we played, to walk away with those 3 points. And San Jose, on the flip side of that, has to keep that in their mind of like, hey, we, gave up a goal to Austin in this game in the waning moments, or in game number 1 of the season in stoppage time, we gave up a goal to Dallas. So instead of walking away with 1 point, we walked away with no points. And you can look at this most recent game against Sacramento. It's like we were up 3-2 in extra time and then gave up, 2 quick goals at the start of the second extra time period. Like, it's got to be that mental awareness to make sure that they don't have those breakdowns, because the Earthquakes, again, the punishing part of being an Earthquakes fan this year is they have been in winning positions in 5 games on the road and in league play, and that's 15 points that have turned into 0. And then in the Open Cup, up 3-2 on the road, and that turned into a loss late, extra time, obviously. And so you see all these lost opportunities, and it's not like that's lost on the players. They're surely aware of that and wanting to fix it, because they know they can go toe-to-toe with anyone, and that unfortunately their own mental mistakes have been the deciding factor. And that's not to take away from any of the brilliant moments that other players have had in those great moments where they come up with a game-winning goal or something like that. But the Earthquakes can't view it from the standpoint of, oh, well, that player is just better. Like, that, it's not going to help anyone's mentals. They've got to view it their own as like, we broke down here in this instance, in this situation. How do we apply that knowledge of the pain that's happened before to make sure that we don't have those same breakdowns again? And I think if the Earthquakes do that, they'll be able to walk away with a win. That said, it's never as easy as any of us outline it. So more than anything, I'm just excited to see what happens. I'm expecting goals. I would not in any way, shape, or form be shocked with a 4-3 finish between these two sides. And, I asked, Lincoln about this the other day, and I said, over under 5.5. He's like, oh, well, he's like, I'm thinking more. So he's like, so I'll go under, which is the classic thing. Because I always joke, I'm a good sports broadcaster at my own rating, but I feel I'm good at it because I'm very good at being wrong. Like always very capable of being very wrong about the outcome. So right now I'm like, 7-goal game, 4-3 or 3-3 or, something wild like that. And it'll be, a 0-0 draw because we can come back to this and be like, see, Ted has no clue what he's talking about.
My last question is, have we figured out in San Jose where the defensive gaps are? Is it is it team wide? Is it D-line? Is it just the fact that you're on, like, for all his quality, right? William Yarborough is a 3rd string keeper on this team. Is that kind of the gap? Like, where is it?
I think that there is a sense of, when you watch the Earthquakes in real time, you see these breakdowns and you're like, what happened? And then you go back and you watch it, and it's different every time. It is
the worst. Yeah.
Sometimes it's, one player, and sometimes it's another. And I think that probably leads you to an idea of guys trying to do too much. And I think that's because the Earthquakes have had a start in the way where they all maybe feel like they have to play a little bit of hero ball, like where they've got to be the one that makes the difference. And so you get guys overextending, which maybe leads somebody else to try and overextend and end up a little out of position, because that's what's been frustrating about it. It's not like you can point to one guy in particular and say that's the issue. There have been guys that have been caught out who have had, just bad moments across the board. And there is no like one finger of blame to be pointed. And that's got to play into the frustration as well, right? But I think they feel that if they can trust each other, and this was something that I heard from the other sport I work in hockey for the San Jose Sharks, the previous head coach there would talk about guys maybe not trusting each other, and that leading to defensive breakdowns where everybody has to feel like they can do so much because they're not sure if the next man up is going to actually be the next man up. And I feel like in a bizarre way, I'm kind of seeing some of that play out with the Earthquakes, which leads to the whole thing of like, no, guys, if you trust each other, like it'll all work out. But again, you can still see that everyone's trying to do a little bit too much. And that has led to, again, some of these late game, losses that leave everyone just a little bit, miffed and, mouth agape trying to figure out what just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was really exciting. I obviously can't wait. It's always my favorite matches of the season. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Thank you again, Ted. Tell everyone where they can find you. And we really appreciate you being here.
No problem. If you want to listen to the hometown broadcast of the Earthquakes on Saturday night, you can go to the Apple TV menu and you go to the menu on the right during the game and you can pick our radio broadcast. That's one way of finding us. The other is if you look for the Soccer Town, or excuse me, you guys are getting me. If you look for the Soccer Hour on wherever you get podcasts, that's how you get our weekly show. And then if you want to listen to us without any visual distractions, you can go to 810thespread.com and listen there and pick up the broadcast and listen to our view of the game. It might be more, just pure game as opposed to storytelling, because that's some of the difference in radio versus TV. But we'll be accurate. We'll tell you what's happening, that's for sure. But thanks for having me on, guys. I'm glad I didn't scare you off last time. And like Lincoln and I talked about, it would be awesome if there was a postseason meeting between these two teams and we could do this a third time.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're pulling for it here.
Thanks so much, Ted.
Boom. See ya.
SWOONTOWER Soccer is brought to you by our friends at FVF Law, the official injury lawyers of Austin FC.
FVF is a different kind of personal injury law firm dedicated to community, transparency, and client education. And they have their own podcast called Summary Judgment. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
You can go to FVF.law to find out what makes FVF a different kind of injury law firm and why understanding your legal options can dramatically change the outcome of a case.
Our premier sponsor is McGuire Woods Consulting, helping clients in the public affairs space from lobbying at the local, statewide, and federal levels to digital and communications campaigns across the country.
McGuire Woods Consulting has offices in 10 MLS cities, but only advertises on this podcast because it's home to two-time reigning Copa Tejas champions. It could be 3 soon.
Don't jinx it.
Contact our friends at McGuire Woods Consulting at www.mwcllc.com for more information.
Yeah, so let's get into these matches. We are covering our Dallas match, away at Dallas, home at Houston, and home against Sporting Kansas City. I think we're gonna gloss over the Dallas match. It was 1:30 in the morning when we were in London when that started. So I said, yeah, play it on the laptop. I'm listening. I didn't have my glasses on. I didn't have my contacts, and I was like, I'm here for this. Like 30 seconds later, I was asleep as heck.
It's true. The one real note that I had was that the Austin FC supporters sounded amazing on the broadcast. You could hear them. You heard crazy random FC Dallas drums that had seemingly no song to go with them, but you certainly heard the Austin songs. So.
Nice. That was, we actually, when we were in London, we got to go to what was meant to be the last home match at Tottenham. And it was so wild how much I missed La Murga.
Yeah.
I missed having a constant drum beat to bop to during the match. There were so many moments I was like, why is it so quiet?
Yeah, it was.
This is an 80,000 person stadium. Why don't I hear anything?
Yeah, it was a stark contrast to when we were in Milan watching Inter.
Yeah. Also, there were bathrooms. All right, let's go to, unfortunately, neither of the match Scots were at the matches, so we weren't able to get exclusive interviews, but we can tell you about them. There was Mindy, who we've actually seen before. Mindy has not been adopted in the couple years since she's been mascot of the match, so y'all get on that. She's very sweet, very loving, gets herself around on her little wheelchair. So good. I love her. She's perfect.
Yeah.
And then
highly recommend checking out Mindy if you've got yourself a little wagon or space for her little wheels. You should have space for her in your heart.
yes. And then we had Monty at SKC, and Monty's little nugget little face. Oh my God, I love Monty.
Yeah, Monty is like, he seems like a dog who wears cool button-ups.
A little sideways baseball cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got real steez is what I'm trying to say. And if you've got that, you're a perfect match.
Yeah, make room in your heart. All right, so getting into Derby Day attire. So we've got these fit checks. I just want to call out this comment on Instagram that said, "Did LV sponsor this post?" And again, I was trapped into forgetting that LV is Louis Vuitton, a clothing brand, and not Los Verdes. So there's that. All in all, I think these are kind of like, it was like the Taupe Parade.
I also want to call out Jacqueline Ramham's question in the Instagram post that just says, "What's in the bags? I need to know. Someone do a bag tour."
Yeah, Jacqueline Ramham.
Amen.
You and us both.
Amen.
I do like that it looks like Brendan Hines-Ike is wearing a shirt with a soccer ball under his.
Oh, that's absolutely a soccer ball.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It just like, I don't know, wearing your work to work is funny.
I'm wearing a shirt that says what I do.
Yep.
I like his sunglasses so much. I think this whole vibe gives a like, I'm a pilot.
Top Gun.
Yeah. Like, I'm a pilot who happens to be also good at soccer, but he couldn't be in Top Gun because he's too tall.
What?
Yeah, he couldn't be a fighter pilot.
Is that why Tom Cruise was so perfect?
That's part of it.
Huh.
But yeah, I wanted to fly fighter planes when I was little, and then I turned 5'10" and wouldn't have been able to.
Oh no.
So
it wasn't the fact that
I also became, I was gonna say I was asthmatic, had glasses and scoliosis, and also so yeah.
All right, so let's jump ahead to Sporting Kansas City because this is a lot more fun.
Didn't want to talk about Julio's khaki fit here?
No, I don't.
Okay, what about
everyone can make mistakes? So I said it was like a taupe parade. I hated it. Everything was bad.
I heard tote parade.
Oh, no, taupe.
Taupe parade
khaki
makes
parade.
More sense.
You were going to yell at me if I used the phrase khaki, so I switched it up. So I want to talk about Johan Valencia's shirt and the Sporting Kansas City tour.
It's good.
So good.
He
looked so amazing with that little extra button unbuttoned. Ooh, it looks great.
Yeah. Johan definitely is the winner of the fit checks from Sporting Kansas City for me.
Yeah. You know who is a close second though?
Who?
Brad.
Really?
Classic. Brown pants, black shirt. I like it. It's a little bold. It's a little brave. Everyone says don't put brown and black next to each other. He says, you're going to tell me what to do? I'm the best keeper in MLS. You can't tell me what to do. Look at me, look cool.
That's true. It is an all-starian outfit.
Yeah, it is.
One thing I am seeing a lot of in these pictures, the return of round glasses.
Uh-huh. It's summer season.
Yep. I'm still not cool enough to wear some round sunnies, but these boys definitely are.
Yeah. All right. You want to call it for that?
Yeah, I think we can. The one thing that I want to say is that Seba's outfit is like, I have an aunt that dresses like this. with the like
Yes.
open
Yeah.
long blue shirt and the tucked in tank top and like are they dress pants? Are they super light sweatpants? You'll never know kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I just really appreciate seeing Aunt Linda's clothes on Seba. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's get into our Celly ratings.
Yeah.
I want to start with Dallas because we did have a goal, so that's exciting.
There was no Celly, though, not really, right? Driussi buries his PK in the late 80th minute-ish, and we're down 2-0. And so he just runs in, grabs the ball. He's pointing to the sidelines and yelling and celebrating at someone. I assume he's saying something along the lines of, we can get 2 more in the next 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not what I would consider a Celly.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go like 3 out of 10.
I was going to give not applicable, NA.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. All right. How about Houston then? This was one of my favorite goal celebrations.
Can we talk about the vibe beforehand?
I mean, that's the vibe before the goal. Sure.
Yeah, when like you just felt it, right? Like
Yeah.
The entire crowd, it was like we scored that goal.
Yep.
You know, everyone in the stadium, everyone believing, all of our hearts together. We willed that goal into existence. We willed that cross to hit Jossie. We willed the ball to bounce off Jossie and land perfectly for Seba.
Yep.
We willed Seba to rocket it behind into the net. Like, that was us. We did that. Everyone, congratulations.
Yeah.
And everyone's Celly,
10 out of 10.
Oh my gosh. The crowd went nuts. I've never heard it that loud, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, the whole game was loud, but it was wild. But I mean, the celebration itself, I think that everything's better when it's in our corner because it's right in front of us. But seeing, we'll get to the sad in a second, but seeing Driussi go straight to Emmy, like Emmy who was Emmy who had just come off.
Emmy had kicked the corner that scored the goal.
Julio had just come off. That's right. And ran over in his little warm-ups to like celebrate with them. That was one of my favorite parts, was seeing everyone come from the bench all the way down to the corner and just do this big old dog pile of love and cute. Yeah,
we don't normally consider Julio fast, but he was the first bench player in the cuddle puddle afterward. Followed by Hot Air, Alex, and Diego, all coming into the corner to celebrate the goal. And so it was really cool to see all of these subs who had just played their butts off. Were clearly gassed and needed to come off. Find that extra gear to come party next to us. And so that was really, really fun. The just collapsing onto each other of the goal Celly was so good. Everyone was clearly having so much fun.
Yep. It was the best. And then we got so many goal Cellys in SKC.
Oh, did we give the players rating?
No, I'm going to go 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 9.2 out of 10.
Okay.
It was really special.
Yeah. All right. So Hader's first goal at SKC, he did a little run to the corner with his arms out, lots of pointing at his crest. Yelled a lot at Seba. Everyone was hugging. I'm gonna go with like a 6 out of 10 on this, and the extra point is because it was in our corner.
I am such a sucker for pointing at the crest, especially when you come from playing for Frisco before that. That to me rules so hard. Anytime you show like that much appreciation for being in our club. So for me, this is an 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I just am such a sucker for it. And like you said, it feels so good when it's in your corner.
Yeah. I just would have liked, I mean, he's done such cool Cellys before. I would have liked something more. Like the next one, he runs to the other corner, same thing, but then he does his little salsa, he does a little dance.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
Sure. This one, I am like I really love a good little dance. I think the connection that he and Danny had in this match was so special and so good. And so I would have liked to have seen Danny in on the dance.
Mm.
And so I'll agree with your 7.
Okay. All right, great. We had some good goals this round. That was nice. Let's do more of those.
Yeah. I
Hoping for a lot more this weekend.
I really liked Seba's. And the reason I really liked Seba's against SKC is because he just ripped off Hot Air's goal celebration.
Right? Except not as good.
Well,
Because not as efficient, I should
Sure.
say. Vanessa needs to maybe make it down the stands a little faster because Hader's baby was in his arms immediately, and little Marco was like nowhere to be found for a whole cut to commercial break.
but he did find him, and
Yeah.
he still got to give the love. And so to me, that's still a special goal celebration. And I love Sebastian Drius's little boy. I think he's one of the cutest little businessmen of all time. You know, like he just looks
mob
like,
man.
yeah, he just looks like he's going to little baby work. He looks like Boss Baby. And I think that's so cute.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
anytime Boss Baby is involved, that's a 9.5 out of 10 for me.
Incredible. Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. For sure. All right. Social media standouts. Wrap this baby up. Speaking of Boss Baby.
Yeah, are we going to talk about the big media standout first?
The first thing on the list.
Oh, well, the second thing on the list.
Well, it's the second thing on. I did this on purpose.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it on purpose in the right order then.
Great. So they announced that the All-Star match is going to be in Austin, which is really exciting. And I'm stoked to get to see our All-Star Brad Stuver up close and personal.
Yeah, in 2025, we will have the All-Star game here in town. I can't wait to see big skee ball in real life.
Oh my gosh, same. Like being able to find the skill drills on YouTube is such a pain in the butt. So to get to be able to watch them live while they're happening, I cannot wait. I love those things.
Yeah.
Those little games are the best.
By far the best part of All-Star. Once again, I will put in my request that it is an East versus West All-Star game. Every time we talk about the All-Star game, I will say East versus West. We're big enough. We're good enough. Our players are talented enough and they deserve it.
Yep.
But regardless, we're going to see human-sized skee ball at Q2 Stadium.
Yeah, it's really
That's
exciting.
so sick.
All right. So the big news from the week, obviously, is that Emmy Rigoni's contract was bought out. I am sad about this for the vibes. Obviously, it's great for the soccer, but I think that Emmy brought some really beautiful vibes to this team. Talk about a smile bracket winner. I mean, his smile is just massive and beautiful, and I hope that he does really well wherever he ends up next.
Yeah, I think it was telling how many players that we had defenders, we had midfielders, we had forward players, we had keepers, everyone was expressing that they hope Emmy, all the best in the future. And I think that's really wonderful and shows how big a locker room presence he was, if not, results on the pitch wise, right? One thing that I wanted to bring up in here was Roto's letter to the fans.
Yeah.
He penned an open letter to Austin FC fans talking about how special Houston atmosphere was when we willed that goal into existence and we earned our 10 out of 10 Celly rating.
Yep.
And it reminded me that he hadn't seen that many special moments at Q2, right? Like we, having been here since the start of it all, have seen so many moments where that has been true in the past.
Yeah.
But the end of last season and even most of the beginning of this one, there weren't nearly as many of those where the crowd did the work.
Agreed.
And it was so cool to see the crowd do the work and then get that appreciation from a guy who absolutely did not need to do that.
Yes.
There was no reason that he had to jump out and say, hey, that's special.
Yep.
but it sure felt good to get it.
Yeah.
And so that was nice.
Yeah. Agreed.
And
And then woo! New boy alert.
well, maybe rumor has it.
We're a rumors based show.
We are certainly vibing on this rumor
I
that
love this
there
rumor.
is a new boy impending.
Mm-hmm.
And so the new boy is named Osman Bukhari. And you may know Osman Bukhari for doing such things as stealing Ronaldo's celebration when he scored against Portugal while Ronaldo was on the bench. He's got some spice, is what I'm trying to say.
And he's handsome.
He's
I approve.
very cute, and
I'm very good at soccer.
he's very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I am super excited to see, hopefully, some more spicy Cellys, and just, you know, I can't wait to see what his fit checks are going to look like.
Ooh, same.
If his rumored transfer fee matches his rumored salary, he's got some sartorial.
Get some more LV merch.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of LV coming down the pipe here.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Hopefully it comes through, but I think it's worth celebrating anyway. We love rumors.
Yeah.
All right, wrapping it up with the man of my jersey this week. Easy choice. It's Danny Pereira. Oh my gosh, I have seen him play well before, but I don't know if I've seen anything like Saturday night. It was magical. Really, honestly, magical getting to watch him play. The fire and the fight, and just the creativity that he showed. Like all-star of the week.
Awesome. Well, stay with us here, because next Swoon Tower episode we will have San Jose, we will have Portland, and we will have Salt Lake to cover for the next one. See you soon.
Love you. Bye.